now to get comfortable where you are. Close your eyes if that feels right to you. And we begin our time of centering and prayer by just breathing. Taking a deep breath, that very breath of life that is God. Holding it for a moment. As you exhale, begin to relax. Breathing in again deeply. Holding it briefly. And this time as you exhale, just quiet your mind. Calm your emotions. And rest in this time. Breathing in again deeply. Holding it briefly. And as we exhale this time, we rest in the consciousness of our heart. Relaxing our breath, we know that this is our time of reconnecting with the God of our being. Our time of allowing our mind to just rest and be quiet. For calming our emotions and setting aside anything that keeps us from being here right now. This is a holy moment, our time of holy presence. We are whole and well right here and right now. We're filled with light, expressing God's light through everything we think, say, and do. Today is a special day of honoring our fathers, our father figures, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, of honoring our ancestry, all of those people who brought us to this world this day. Whether our fathers are living or not, we honor them today by cultivating that experience and gratitude for the gifts that they have given us. We are blessed. And in these moments, as we allow ourselves to think of those moments of gratitude, think of the things that you're thankful for your father, your earthly father, your spiritual father. And as we go into a time of quiet prayer, allow those thoughts that are beautiful about the person that you love to manifest in your mind and in your heart in a time of silence right here and right now. I invite you now to take another deep breath. And in these moments, allow that loving presence, that gratitude for whatever your Father may have given you. The spirit of love, the spirit of caring, of strength and compassion, whatever it might be. allow that energy, how great or how small, to manifest and bring forth in you that experience right here and right now. And so in these moments, we just say, thank you, God, for this memory. Thank you for these times of love. And so it is. Amen. Wonderful. Took me way back to that movie. I was just like right there. I was like, wonderful. Wow. How is everyone today, this fabulous Father's Day? Great. And everybody knows the history of Father's Day? No. Well, all right then. I brought backup just in case. You all said yes, but now we're going to learn why we celebrate Father's Day. Do you know that it only became a national holiday in 1972? 58 years after the first woman honored her father because he was a single dad of 6 children. Yes, how's that? And his name was William Jackson Smart, and his daughter wanted to honor him. And so at church one Sunday, after hearing all about Mother's Day being a wonderful holiday, so she asked her pastor to go and find out how it could become a holiday, because she knew her father worked really hard raising 6 children. And that's a very, very long time ago. It was in 1910. So picture a single dad back in 1910. He had to do a lot of work. We didn't have all these wonderful conveniences we have nowadays. So she thought her father was just the most fabulous guy in the world. And she originally approached the governor of Washington State to have it be on June 5th, which was her father's birthday. But because, the government got involved in it, they had to change it. And so it became this, second Sunday in June. And so that's how it happened, and it was Woodrow Wilson who named it to be a holiday. So that's why we celebrate it. And then Hallmark took over, and the rest is history. Do you know that over 96 million Father's Day cards are sold? It's the 4th biggest holiday in our holidays all year long. So how many of you, your fathers are still living? Wonderful. Did you call him today? And if you haven't, will you? And celebrate that energy, that loving energy that may or not be there. How many of you had fathers that weren't perhaps the best fathers? A few. How many of you had fathers that were really great? And when you think of your dad, that's awesome. You think of the things that he taught you. So what are some of the things that your father taught you?
Chew my food thoroughly.
Chew my food thoroughly. Yes. How many times, you guys? Do you remember? 30 times before you swallow. I learned that. And don't drink anything to help it go down, because you might choke. Yes. May.
My father told me that it doesn't matter how many times you fall. Most important thing is that you get up and go.
There you go. That's a wonderful teaching. Corinne.
Sit up straight.
Sit up straight. Yes. Joe. Humor. Funny. Yes, Patrick.
No good project is done with any less than 2 trips to Ace Hardware.
No good project is done without going to Ace Hardware 2 times. That could be true. Yes, Larry. The first chords Larry learned on a guitar. That's a gift for sure. Yes, Jerry.
He taught me the lesson of hard work.
The lesson of working hard. Yes, Mary.
My father taught me that I don't have to be perfect because I already am.
Awesome. She doesn't have to be perfect because she already is. Vince.
He taught me to enjoy fine art and music at a very early age, and not to let school get in away by education.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, my father, he died when I was 5. He was 36. But I still remember him letting me know that I was special, that I was a special little girl. And so you hold those thoughts and those feelings with you throughout your life. And so how many of you men ever read Real Men Don't Eat Quiche? Do you remember that book? Heard of it? Well, I'm going to tell you about it because it's very funny. And you men are just so great, and if you feel like getting out your Rambo gun, you can. Okay. Real men don't eat quiche. This was once a nation of real men, guys who could destroy an entire forest to make a breakfast fire, and then wipe out an endangered species before lunch. Not anymore. We've become a nation of wimps. It's not enough that we earn a living and protect women and children from plagues, famine, and encyclopedia salesmen. Remember those days when they went door to door? Now we're supposed to be supportive and even understanding and sincere. So a little bit of sarcasm in this book. Where has it gotten us? We used to create things like the Panama Canal, 1957 Chevys, and the front line of the Green Bay Packers. It worries me that 10 million years from now, we're going to be remembered as a society that created frozen yogurt, salad bars, and restaurants that spin. Real men have always lived by one simple rule. Never settle with words never settle with words what you can accomplish with a flamethrower. Real men don't eat quiche. Real men eat meat and potatoes. Doc is clapping. Isn't that funny? But that's where we come from. That's where you men come from, is that energy of, I can do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. Don't you believe you do that? And somehow we women have gotten involved in the same thing. But I wouldn't do a flamethrower, would you, Virginia? No. My husband's back there. He comes from this school. But we know that a spiritual revolution has taken place. So what are the things and the thoughts that you have now that perhaps you didn't have when you were much younger? Anyone have an idea of what that might, where you've had a change of heart and a change of mind in the way that you think about how life is or how you treat other people? Any of you men had a transformation in that way, in that world? Vince. Yeah, he went to culinary school. He now makes quiche. Yeah, Jim brought us a pie today. Yes. So think about how far men have come. Wouldn't it have been a time where to make quiche or make a pie, unless you were a baker for a living, would have been unacceptable? Think about how we thought about men and what their jobs were to do in this world. It has definitely changed. Changed for the good, would you say? Are men more caring and compassionate than they've ever been? Absolutely. What a gift. And we women are learning to change as well. So we always say, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our mothers. But we also must own that we would not be here if it were not for our fathers. And it's so important. I grew up without a father and felt a lot of shame about that, because I grew up, in the 50s and 60s when I was young, and it was not acceptable to not have a father, for the father-daughter dance, for bring your father to school, all those kinds of things. And I would have to explain that he died. And so it didn't bring me joy, it brought me shame. And so now as an adult, having to work through all that shame about that, which come to find out was quite silly, because he had a disease that caused him to pass away. It was that simple. And so the gifts that our fathers give us, and I went through crazy, looking for love in all the wrong places, trying to replace that energy, that masculine self, the masculine energy. And, some of it worked and some of it didn't. But we all get to find our own way, and our own way to love the man in our life that works. And the best way that I know how to do that is to ask them and wait for an answer. Do any of you talk to a man and you ask him a question and then you start talking right away? Oh, Dr. Virginia, giving away secrets right here. Because we tend to do that sometimes. When we're wanting to know the answer, but we as women think we know the answer, so we'll tell them what we think they know, and then they'll tell us, but that's not what I was thinking. So we have to become a good listener when it comes to the male person in our life. To be willing to accept, uh-oh, Doc and Virginia, they got something going on here right now. They're both laughing though. That's an excellent sign. But we need to learn how. And we learn how to treat the male energy in our life by listening. And isn't that the same way we learn to find out about that true being that we call God, which is masculine and feminine inside of us? Is by listening. By hearing that still small voice within us. And how many of us go into meditation and we start talking? Do you do that? Our mind is just not going to stop. And then we kind of tell God that we know what's best for us and everybody else on the planet. Do you ever do that? Do you like to be with someone who's always telling you what to do? No. And did some of you grow up that way? Having people telling you how you should think, how you should be, what is real and what is not real. And then as we grow and mature, we find out what works for us and what is the best way to know and love ourselves. We have some great teachers in our world for men. You know, my youngest son right now, he loves to hear Tony Robbins. He's very inspirational for him. And Tony Robbins is a great man in our world. Think of some of the men who have been models and mentors for you. Who would they be? A male role model for any of you men out here? Or women? Who's a role model for you, Doc? His dad. That's a great thing. Who else? Your dad. That's an awesome thing. It's very wonderful. When my first husband passed away when he was young as well, and our son was 3. But they spent their first 3 years of my oldest son's life together. And my husband was a mechanic, a car mechanic. And we always had old cars, like antique cars that they worked on. And so to this day, my son is very mechanically inclined and builds homes and can fix any car. But when he was 18 months old, he'd always be with his dad under a car. Oh, seriously, 18 months old with some tool in his hand. And it was so priceless because he would walk around with the tool with his dad, but he always brought me a flower. And he does that to this day to his wife. Every Friday, she gets flowers, and he makes beautiful flower arrangements. But I have pictures of him when he was 18 months old with his dad, learning some unspeakable words on camera, but at the same time, giving me that joy. And the things that he learned in those 3 precious years of his life with his father, he still carries today and carried them through to his children. So there is some magical, wonderful DNA involved in about what we learn. And mannerisms. Have you noticed, women, that we tend to be just like our mothers as we get older? Any of you doing that? Mm-hmm. Or look, no, Dawn says no. But we hear ourselves telling our children the same thing our parents told us. Isn't it true? We do that. And we go, oh, my mom used to say that to me. And last night we were talking about, Virginia, wasn't it you and I were talking last night about how we're saying things that our parents used to say. And I was with Mary Ellen and Dorothy yesterday, and they were talking. I said, I guess now we got to talk about the health of our friends, because we'd cover every other territory. And I said, I remember when my mom used to do that with my grandmother, talking about people's health, and did you know so-and-so did this and so did that? The men would always leave the table and go somewhere else. Do you remember that? That's what would happen. Men didn't want to be involved in gossip, but they're really good at it today. When you say? It's true. You guys now have the freedom to talk like we always have. That's a great thing. But we honor that masculine energy, that male counterpart of ourselves today. Fathers and grandfathers and the people that have taught you how to do things. A great work ethic. Isn't that so important? And because nowadays we have so many families that are being raised by single moms, that work ethic tends to be missing. Would you say? So our job is, as women and as men, is to help that. The Boys and Girls Club is a great organization that does that very thing, helping all these young men who don't have role models to be wonderful role models for them in their lives. We all need mentors. We all need that masculine energy. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were great teachers. Myrtle Fillmore knew that she could heal her body. And Virginia just gave me a book this week by Dottie Osteen, Joel Osteen's mother, who also cured her cancer through prayer and her faith. I'd never heard that story before. And so through that power of faith and hope in a power greater than herself, she healed stage 4 liver cancer. Stage 4. And has been cancer-free for 50 years. That was amazing. That was a great little book that she goes, oh, and I had this book, and I was like, this is great. So we all are given gifts every day. We just need to take a look at them, because we don't want to dismiss a powerful life lesson that we may learn. And it may come from a man, and it might come from a woman, or it might be a child. Last night, my daughter had her 5th recital at the Hilton, and 76 kids danced all these different dances. And she has more. She started with 12 girls doing cheerleading, and now she has these boys doing hip hop, jazz, and tap, and fooling around on the stage like no tomorrow, including my grandson, who stole the show. But it's okay for men to be fabulous dancers these days. That's a gift. So whatever gift or talent that is God-given to you, use it. Use it, express it to other people, teach it to someone else. Maybe it's not your children that you're teaching. Maybe it's someone else's children who need that role model of that masculine energy that is filled with love and caring and compassion and strength. We balance out our life by living and showing. That's what I always think of my dad as. He was very ill. I only really knew him in bed or in a hospital. But I remember his humor, and I remember him getting angry because we were 4 kids making a lot of noise, and he's trying to be in bed sleeping and getting better. It didn't work very well. But the love that he had, and he crocheted back in the day potholder purses for each one of us. And I still have it to this day. He died in 1956. And that's what he did as a gift to his children in the hospital. One of the last things that he did for us. And it's like, was it okay for men to knit and crochet back in the day? Probably not acceptable, but I love that gift, because he showed me a side of him that was caring and compassionate and loving, and he dared to do something different. And because my dad was African American and my mom was Caucasian, they had to get married in Mexico, because it was illegal for them to get married in California, in the United States. And so that's a gift that he also gave to us, was the ability to accept ourselves exactly as we are. And that they had courage and strength to know that their commitment to love was to bring forth these 4 children. Incredible. So when you think about it and ponder it and journal about things, you get the ideas, you get the gift, and you get the loved. And so we're grateful. I'm grateful for my dad, even though I only had him for 5 years consciously on this earth. I'm grateful for my relationship with God, which is incredibly powerful in guiding and directing. So when you think about your father and that masculine energy today, if your father isn't living, maybe you can write him a letter. Maybe you can send him a card. That's a special thing, your way of being thankful. And let's move forward in this world with our masculine self, our feminine self, blending and nurturing and caring for ourselves and each other, and being great teachers of men and women. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.